Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Katie Wilson. Here are the top stories. The UK announces a new deal to fund air defence missiles for Ukraine, worth $2 billion. Egypt says Gaza reconstruction plan is ready and intensifies efforts for Phase 2. The 97th Oscars concluded today and Nora takes home 5 awards. European leaders pledged to boost defence capabilities following a Ukraine summit in London on Sunday. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte said some countries have outlined new defence spending plans, though details remain undisclosed. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer announced a £1.6 billion deal allowing Ukraine to purchase 5,000 air defence missiles using export finance. The missiles, manufactured by Thales, have a range of more than 6 kilometres and can be launched from land, sea and air. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met Britain's King Charles at the monarch's Sandringham estate in eastern England on Sunday. Zelensky travelled to Sandringham on a helicopter from central London, where Western leaders got together for a summit focused on the war in Ukraine. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer urged leaders to step up their defence efforts to not only help secure peace in Ukraine, but stability across the continent. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he believes his relationship with US President Donald Trump can be salvaged, despite their heated Oval Office meeting last week. He made the comment in the UK at Stansted Airport after a summit with European leaders. Zelensky says he doesn't expect US aid to Ukraine to stop, but stressed that future discussions should be held behind closed doors. He also reaffirmed willingness to sign a minerals deal with Washington, saying he believes the US will be ready to move forward.
Is not just to take some territory in.
We are not making any steps back. This is our policy, to be consistent, regardless of what happened before. We are constructive. If we agree that minerals deal with US will be signed, from our side we are ready to sign. I honestly think the United States will be ready as well. Maybe they need time to analyze some things. I think our relations with the US will continue, because this is more than relations during a certain moment. We must be open. Ukraine is not the biggest country in the world, but everyone can see how it fights for its independence and freedom. We count on assistance from the United States of America, without a doubt. I think stopping such assistance will only help Putin. And because of that, I think the United States and representatives of the civilized world, leaders of this world, definitely won't help Putin.
Ukrainians in Kyiv are hopeful but cautious after President Zelensky's tense meeting with Donald Trump. Many say peace talks are necessary as concerns grow over US support.
Following Zelensky's meeting with Trump, Ukrainians remain divided on what comes next. Some say diplomacy is necessary, while others worry about Washington's stance.
Every war ends by negotiations, and sooner or later, there will be talks. Unfortunately, this is what history teaches us. On the bright side, this would mean that people stop dying.
Others say Ukraine must stand firm in defending its interests, regardless of international pressure.
I want to believe that the American administration is now past its emotional and turbulent peak. With time, the situation will calm down, Trump will calm down a bit more, and the negotiation process will be in a better state.
We need to first of all defend our Ukrainian interests, our independence and our territorial integrity. Of course, it'd be best if we did this diplomatically, but other ways are fine too, as long as we don't give up our interests.
While uncertainty remains, Ukrainians say their country's future must be decided on their own terms.
Russia has praised US President Donald Trump on his plan to end the war in Ukraine. They have also accused European powers of seeking to prolong the conflict. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that whilst Washington and Moscow do not agree on everything, they have agreed to be pragmatic when interests coincide. Lavrov also dismissed the European idea of sending in a contingent of European peacekeepers. He added that Russia has no trust in Ukraine after the collapse of the Minsk Agreement, with doubts over the rights of Russian speakers under the European peacekeepers' plans.
Trump, he is a pragmatist. His slogan is common sense. Of course, it means, and everybody already sees it, a shift to a different way of doing things. But the goal is still MAGA, make America great again. He's got a new cap now. Everything that Trump promised, he did. You see, this gives politics a lively human character. That's why it's interesting to work with him.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that Canada will have a strong, unequivocal, proportionate response to tariffs that US President Donald Trump is expected to impose on Canada this week. Trudeau says that his government is continuing to work to do everything possible to make sure there are no tariffs imposed. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that tariffs on Canada and Mexico will go into effect on Tuesday. However, he says that Trump has not confirmed whether he will uphold the planned 25% level.
When we first started talking about this many months ago, then
Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati says Egypt's Gaza reconstruction plan is ready and will be presented at the Arab Summit on Tuesday. The plan aims to keep Palestinians in their land with international support. Arab states oppose President Donald Trump's plan for US control of Gaza and Palestinian resettlement. Abdelati reaffirmed Egypt's efforts to maintain the ceasefire and start the next phase of negotiations. After the summit, an Organisation of Islamic Cooperation ministerial meeting in Saudi Arabia will push for global recognition of the summit's decisions.
There is a ceasefire agreement consisting of 3 phases. We have finished the first phase. We must implement the remaining obligations and enter into rapid negotiations to discuss the second phase of the ceasefire agreement. I have also briefed the European Union Commissioner about the Egyptian Arab Islamic plan that will be adopted for reconstruction while the Palestinians remain in their places and on their land, and the importance of starting immediate early recovery programs followed by the planned reconstruction.
Tensions over the Gaza ceasefire continue, with disagreements between Israel and Hamas stalling further progress. Aid deliveries have become a key point of contention, adding pressure to ongoing negotiations. Meanwhile, mediators are being urged to step in as both sides remain firm on their demands.
Israel restricted aid trucks from entering Gaza on Sunday as tensions over the ceasefire escalated. Hamas urged Egyptian and Qatari mediators to step in. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar claimed that large amounts of aid were already in Gaza, possibly controlled by Hamas. He stated that Israel would not allow further aid shipments or continue negotiations without progress on hostage releases.
Altogether, you have a huge number of trucks entered last 42 days to Gaza Strip. They have huge amounts of humanitarian aid there, probably in the hands of Hamas. It became its number one financial income for Hamas during that time, and they are not going to get it for free. If they will be ready to not, there was an American proposal, but maybe there could be another proposal, but the principles are clear. Negotiations should be connected to release of hostages.
Saar confirmed that Israel had accepted a ceasefire proposal from US envoy Steve Witkoff covering Ramadan and Passover, but said Hamas rejected it. the truce would have paused fighting until late April, contingent on Hamas releasing half of the remaining hostages on the first day and the rest if a permanent ceasefire was agreed. Hamas insists on moving to the second phase of the original ceasefire plan, which aims for a permanent end to the conflict, rejecting any temporary extension beyond the initial 42-day truce.
Thousands of Israelis rallied in Tel Aviv, demanding the continuation of the Hamas-Israel prisoner hostage exchanges. Protesters in Hostages Square called for the release of captives still held in Gaza.
On the final day of the Gaza ceasefire, thousands of Israelis took part in weekly pro-hostage deal rallies. In Tel Aviv, demonstrators called on the Israeli government to push forward with the prisoner exchange and secure the release of those still held in Gaza. The protests followed last month's ceasefire and exchange agreement, which had temporarily halted the ongoing conflict. Protesters urged the continuation of the ceasefire agreement, emphasizing that it must guarantee the return of the hostages.
And now, when we're almost on the brink of a ceasefire, I want dare to say peace, because things are still chaotic, but we were so close, and now it's again in this limbo, in this chaos that you can't know what will happen tomorrow, next week, or next month. It's eating you from the inside. Even if we act as everything is normal, it's crazy.
Meanwhile, the war has caused widespread devastation in Gaza, with Palestinian authorities reporting over 48,300 deaths. Families of the hostages continue to demand that negotiations proceed, stressing that time is running out for their loved ones.
Heavy rainfall in northwestern Peru has caused widespread flooding. The overflowing river has damaged infrastructure and flooded thousands of hectares of farmland. Hundreds of families in Tumbes province has been forced to evacuate. Currently, the government and military forces are working to mitigate the impact of the disaster.
Heavy rainfall in northwestern Peru has caused a river to overflow, leading to severe destruction. The natural disaster has damaged infrastructure and flooded agricultural lands. According to reports, at least 150 families in the Tumbes province have been seriously affected. In the Corrales district, images shared by local media show at least one house submerged in floodwaters, while others are surrounded by strong currents. Affected residents are struggling under difficult conditions to reach safer areas. According to the relevant authorities, the disaster has destroyed over 5,000 hectares of farmland, with banana, lemon and cereal production suffering significant damage. Officials have urged the government to declare a state of emergency to mobilise the necessary resources to the affected region as quickly as possible. Currently, the Peruvian Army and Navy are working alongside regional authorities to implement preventive measures and reduce risks.
Argentina's President Javier Milei announced a new IMF deal, calling it key to economic stability. He also vowed to push ahead with reforms despite criticism from the opposition. Speaking in Congress, Milei defended the deal, stating that it will help reduce Argentina's fiscal deficit and prevent a deeper crisis. He reaffirmed his commitment to economic transformation, despite criticism that the austerity measures tied to the agreement will hit the most vulnerable hardest. Turkey has taken a major step in the global defence industry, becoming the only country outside Airbus facilities in Spain and Germany to carry out upgrade operations for the A400M military transport aircraft. The operations, known as retrofit, are conducted at the 2nd Air Maintenance Factory Directorate in Kayseri.
The Kayseri-based 2nd Air Maintenance Factory Directorate has opened its doors, showcasing its critical role in modernizing the A400M, one of the world's largest military cargo aircraft. Known locally as Koca Yusuf, the A400M plays a vital role in Turkey's air mobility and defense capabilities. Operating under the Ministry of National Defense's General Directorate of Military Factories, the facility is responsible for periodic maintenance of Turkey's A400M fleet, along with extensive retrofit operations. These upgrades ensure the aircraft maintain peak performance for long-range flights and heavy cargo transport, significantly boosting the Turkish Armed Forces' operational readiness. With 10 A400M aircraft in its fleet, Turkey became the first country to complete its planned acquisitions in 2022. Currently, the 7th aircraft is undergoing heavy maintenance, while 9 are being upgraded under the retrofit project.
Firefly Aerospace has made history, becoming the second US company to successfully land a spacecraft on the moon. The uncrewed Blue Ghost lander touched down early Sunday, marking a major milestone in private sector space exploration.
The Texas-based company's Blue Ghost lander, about the size of a compact car, completed its journey after launching atop a SpaceX rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center a month and a half ago. The four-legged spacecraft carried 10 scientific payloads and landed near Mare Crisium, a large lunar basin on the moon's near side. Mission controllers at Firefly's headquarters in Austin confirmed a smooth descent as Blue Ghost entered lunar gravity and touched down at a gentle 2 miles per hour. Firefly Aerospace now joins an exclusive group of private firms reaching the lunar surface. The company follows in the footsteps of Intuitive Machines, whose Odysseus lander made a historic landing last year. So far, only 5 nations, the Soviet Union, the US, China, India and Japan, have achieved successful soft landings.
Japan faces a growing shortage of caregivers amid an ageing population. And now, researchers at Waseda University in Tokyo have developed a humanoid robot called EREC, designed to assist with elderly care. This innovative robot could play a key role in addressing the country's care worker crisis, a challenge exacerbated by Japan's declining birth rate.
Japan's ageing population and shrinking workforce have created a serious demand for care workers. The country's working age population is projected to fall by 9.3% over the next decade. This will intensify the strain on caregiving. With restrictive immigration policies in place, robots like EREC could provide a solution. Developed by researchers at Waseda University, EREC is a humanoid robot designed to assist with essential tasks for elderly people in critical care.
As we enter a super-aging society and the birth rate declines, we will need robots to support medical and elderly care and daily life. Unfortunately, current robotic technology is still in its early stages when it comes to interacting with people. Our goal is to achieve that.
The project is funded by a government program designed to foster innovation to resolve difficult social issues. This Tokyo care facility is experimenting with the smart devices, and caregivers are cautiously optimistic about the use of these robots.
If such a robot were really created, I think it would be very helpful to us in the field. However, I'm a little bit worried that the warmth generated from human interaction between residents and caregivers and the subtle communication, such as reading the room and understanding the situation, might be difficult to replicate.
The artificial intelligence-powered robot can perform essential functions, such as preventing bed sores, changing diapers, repositioning patients, and handling daily chores. Japan's birth rate has declined for the 9th consecutive year, with a record low of more than 700,000 babies born last year. The robot is expected to cost at least 10 million yen, which is around $66,000 initially. As production scales up, the price is expected to decrease beyond 2040.
The biggest night in Hollywood has come to a close, and the 97th Academy Awards did not disappoint. From emotional speeches to historic wins, this year's ceremony was a true celebration of storytelling and cinematic excellence. Let's take a look at the highlights and the names that made history at the Oscars 2025.
The 97th Academy Awards took place at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, with Conan O'Brien hosting the star-studded event.
Anora.
The biggest winner of the night was Anora, which took home the coveted Best Picture award. The director of the film, Sean Baker, also won Best Director, while Mikey Madison secured Best Actress for her powerful performance in the film.
Mikey Madison.
In the Best Actor category, Adrian Brody won for his role in The Brutalist, where he portrayed a Jewish immigrant and aspiring architect struggling to make a name for himself. The Supporting Acting Awards went to Kieran Culkin, who won Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain.
I have to thank my wife, Jazz, for absolutely everything, for giving me...
Zoe Saldana earned Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Emilia Perez.
Zoe Saldana.
The night also celebrated international cinema, with Brazil's I'm Still Here winning Best International Feature and Latvia's Flow taking home Best Animated Feature. Meanwhile, Dune Part 2 won in the technical categories, securing Best Visual Effects and Best Sound. Wicked made history in the design categories, winning Best Production Design and Best Costume Design. At the ceremony, in a heartfelt moment, the audience also gave a standing ovation to California firefighters who have been battling severe wildfires across the state. Their bravery and dedication was highlighted.
We're done for now, but don't go far. Stay tuned for more and have a wonderful morning.